Hollywood charity fight night has been running for 3 years, and it has found its audience, which is people who want to see celebrities sweat in a context that is sanctioned and safe enough to be entertaining without being embarrassing. The Forum in Inglewood, March 1973. Not a full house, but close, maybe 4,000 people who paid reasonable ticket prices for a charitable cause and reasonable entertainment, which is what the event has historically delivered. The format is straightforward. Celebrity matches, mostly boxing, light contact, nobody trying to genuinely hurt anyone, some actual boxers doing exhibition rounds, a few martial arts demonstrations, then a main event that is more serious than the celebrity bouts but still fundamentally exhibition, designed to showcase skill rather than produce winners and losers in any consequential sense. Bruce Lee is in row 4. He came because a friend from the martial arts community is doing a demonstration in the middle of the card, and because events like this are worth attending, worth watching, worth a couple of hours of observation that might produce something useful. He has been sitting here since the doors opened and watching everything with the quality of attention that is simply how he watches things, which is complete. The evening has been mostly what it promised: celebrity bouts with some genuine effort and some genuine humor, a boxing exhibition that was genuinely impressive, a karate demonstration that was technically good. The crowd is warm and engaged, and the charitable energy in the room is real, people having a good time for a cause they feel good about. Then, Sylvester Stallone gets into the ring. He is 26 years old, and he is not yet famous in any way that the general public would recognize. He has done small roles, background work, the kinds of parts that keep a person in Los Angeles without establishing them there. He is physically impressive. That much is undeniable, genuinely muscular in the way that comes from serious training rather than just genetics, and he moves like someone who has been boxing regularly, because he has been boxing regularly for years, because boxing is part of the image he is building toward, whatever it is he is building toward. He signed up for the charity card 2 weeks ago through a contact who knows the promoter, told them he had boxing experience, which is true, told them he was an actor working on an action career, which is aspirationally true. Got matched against another young actor with similar credentials. A fair match on paper. The fight starts and something goes wrong with the calibration immediately. Sly hits his opponent hard, harder than the format expects. Not dangerous hard, not injuring hard, but hard in a way that crosses the invisible line this event has established. Between exhibition and actual fighting, his opponent, a decent enough guy named Marcus who does some stunt work, manages the first round and then signals to the referee in the second that he is done, which is the polite way of saying he did not sign up for this level of contact. The crowd reacts, not warmly. Not the way a crowd reacts when someone performs impressively. The way a crowd reacts when someone has misread the room, has brought the wrong energy to a charitable evening, has turned something that was supposed to be fun into something that is less fun. A few people boo. More people go quiet in the specific way of quiet that is withholding, the silence of an audience deciding they do not want to give their approval to this. Sly does not read the reaction correctly, or he reads it and interprets it differently from how it is meant. He stands in the ring with the referee and his cornerman, and he has the expression of someone who expected a claim and has received something else and is processing the gap between those two things by deciding the room is wrong, rather than that he is. Then he takes the microphone. This is the moment that defines the next 20 minutes of his life in ways he will not understand until he is sitting in his car in the Forum parking lot later. I want to say something to the people in this room, he says, and his voice has a quality that is performing confidence in a way that genuine confidence does not need to. I came here to show what real fighting looks like, not exhibition, not going through the motions, real fighting, because that's what I do and that's what I'm going to be doing on screen, and I want people to know the difference between what's real and what's just for the camera. The crowd is listening, not enthusiastically, and while I'm on the subject of real versus camera, Sly continues, and here is where it turns. Here is where the 26-year-old desperation for relevance pushes him past the point of good judgment. I'd like to address something that bothers me about what gets called fighting in Hollywood right now. There's a guy who's gotten very famous very fast for doing things on camera that look incredible, and everybody's very impressed. And I'm less impressed, because I know the difference. He is not saying the name yet, he is building to it. The crowd is following the buildup with the uncertain energy of people who cannot tell if this is going somewhere worth following. Bruce Lee. Everybody loves Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee is the greatest martial artist in the history of film. Bruce Lee can do things no one has ever seen. Bruce Lee is a legend. He pauses. Bruce Lee is a movie star, and I'm a fighter, and I want to know if any of those people sitting out there, including Bruce Lee if he's in this building, want to find out what happens when a movie star gets in a ring with a real fighter. The crowd reacts. This is not what they expected. Several things are happening in the audience simultaneously. People looking at each other, people looking toward the front rows, people deciding whether to be entertained or offended both. In row 4, Bruce Lee is looking at the ring with the same expression he's been wearing all evening. Dan Inosanto is 2 seats to his left. Dan says nothing. He has been at events with Bruce long enough to know that saying nothing right now is the appropriate response. A man named Tony, who is sitting directly behind Bruce, says quietly, "That's you he's talking about," which is simultaneously the most accurate and least necessary observation of the evening. Bruce continues watching the ring. His hands are resting on his knees, his breathing has not changed. Sly is still talking. He has gone past the reasonable stopping point of his original provocation and is now in the territory where momentum carries a person further than they intended to go. He says things about film speed and camera tricks and choreography and the difference between looking tough and being tough, and each thing he says is slightly more specific and slightly more pointed than the last, and the crowd is watching this escalation with the divided attention of people who are partly entertained and partly uncomfortable. The promoter, a man named Gerald who has run this event for 3 years without incident and who is currently experiencing his first incident, standing at ringside with the expression of a man trying to calculate several things at once. He could intervene. He probably should intervene. He is not intervening yet because 4,000 people are paying complete attention to what is happening in a way they were not paying complete attention 5 minutes ago, and that attention is a form of value that his professional instincts recognize even when his better judgment is telling him to break it up. "I'll make it simple," Sly says. "Somebody go tell Bruce Lee he can come up here. Come into this ring. 10 seconds. That's all I'm asking. 10 seconds of actual contact with someone who actually fights. And if he can last 10 seconds, I'll walk out of here and tell everyone who will listen that Kung Fu is real and Bruce Lee is everything everyone says he is." He pauses. "And if he can't, maybe we all stop pretending." Silence in the arena, the specific silence of 4,000 people simultaneously directing attention to a single question. Bruce stands up. The recognition moves through the arena the way recognition moves when a significant person has been in a room anonymously and is no longer anonymous. Row 4, row 3, row 2, the whole floor, the balcony, all of it turning and finding Bruce Lee on his feet in the 4th row. The sound that goes through the building is not quite cheering. It is the sound of 4,000 people simultaneously registering something significant and not yet knowing how to feel about it. Bruce moves out of his row and into the aisle without hurrying. He is wearing a simple dark jacket over a dark shirt, and he looks exactly like a person who was sitting in row 4 watching a charity fight card, which is what he was, and he walks toward the ring with the quality of movement that always characterizes him, which is economy and presence in equal measure, nothing wasted. At ringside, the promoter Gerald steps toward him. He is calculatedly. Mr. Gerald says, "You don't have to." "I know," Bruce says. He climbs the ring steps. Sly watches him come through the ropes, whatever he expected when he made his challenge, and it is not entirely clear he expected anything specific, because the challenge had the quality of something said into a space that was supposed to remain empty. He is now adjusting to the reality of Bruce Lee standing in the same ring. The adjustment is visible. He is 6 feet tall and 195 pounds of genuine muscle and training, and he has every physical advantage that the human eye can see immediately, and he is making himself aware of all of these advantages right now, in the specific way people make themselves aware of advantages when the situation has become real rather than hypothetical. Bruce looks at him. The look is the same quality of attention he has been giving everything tonight, which is complete and without commentary. He is reading Sly the way he reads people and situations, systematically and without rush, and what he reads is a young man who has made a serious miscalculation and does not yet understand the scale of it. "You said 10 seconds. Bruce says 10 seconds. Sly confirms. His voice is steady. He is committed. He is also, underneath the commitment, beginning to process information that the commitment is making it difficult to act on, which is that there is something about the quality of the stillness in Bruce Lee that is different from the quality of stillness in any of the opponents Sly has faced in his boxing training. "Any techniques?" Bruce asks. Sly looks at him. "I box," he says. "You do whatever you do." "Light contact," the referee Patterson says, who has materialized at the center of the ring with the resignation of a man who has been refereeing unexpected things all evening. "No head shot," to full contact. "This is still a charity event." Both men nod. "Whenever you're ready," Bruce says. Sly moves first. He is a boxer and he boxes, which is the correct choice, using what he knows rather than what he doesn't. His jab comes out fast, genuinely fast, the jab of someone who has thrown it 10,000 times and has made it efficient through repetition. It comes toward Bruce's face with real speed and real intention. Bruce's head is not there. The movement that takes it somewhere else is so minimal that the people in the first two rows are not entirely sure they saw it. The jab passes beside Bruce's ear. Sly throws the cross immediately after. The combination is correct. Jab sets the cross. The cross follows the jab's line. This is what training produces. The cross comes with more force behind it than the jab. Bruce's shoulder drops 2 inches. The cross passes over it. Sly steps forward. He is trying to use his size advantage to crowd Bruce, to get him to the ropes, to make the ring smaller and make his physical advantages more decisive. He comes forward with a left hook to the body, which is a good choice because body shots don't require the head to be in the right place. Bruce steps inside the hook. Inside the arc of it, closer to Sly, inside his reach, and the hook has no power at this range because it cannot extend. Bruce's hand touches Sly's ribs, light, deliberate. A mark rather than a strike. 3 seconds. Sly backs up, processing. He is a smart enough boxer to understand that the inside position Bruce just occupied is a problem for him, that his size advantage becomes a liability when someone is too close to use it. He resets and comes again. This time with a combination that is designed to force a reaction, jab, jab, right hand. 3 punches meant to overwhelm the defensive decision-making. Bruce slips the first jab. The second jab he pats aside with his left hand barely, a touch that redirects without blocking. The right hand comes and Bruce is not in its path, already moved, already somewhere else, and his hand is at Sly's chest again. Another mark. 6 seconds. Sly tries one more time. He goes low, genuinely low, trying a body attack that takes him below Bruce's typical guard level, driving his right hand toward Bruce's midsection with everything behind it. Bruce's knee lifts slightly. The punch lands on his knee rather than his body, which is a deflection rather than a block, and which uses Sly's own force to redirect the strike away from its target. Simultaneously, Bruce's right hand comes forward and stops at Sly's jaw, an inch away. Clear and complete and undeniable. 10 seconds. The arena is silent in the way it went silent during the Chuck Norris demonstration Bruce did last year in the Joe Frazier exchange, and every other time Bruce has done this in a public context, which is the silence of people whose assumptions have just been revised faster than their reactions can keep up with. Sly stands in the ring with Bruce's hand an inch from his jaw and his own right hand somewhere below Bruce's knee, and the combination of those two positions tells the complete story of what just happened without requiring any explanation or narration. Bruce lowers his hand and steps back. Sly straightens up. He looks at Bruce. The expression on his face is doing several things at once, that his face is too unguarded to do one at a time. There is embarrassment there, genuine and deep, the embarrassment of someone who made a very public claim and has been publicly shown the claim was wrong. There is something that is starting to move toward anger, the defensive anger that sometimes follows embarrassment in people who have not yet learned to distinguish between the two. And underneath both of those things, visible to someone who is paying attention the way Bruce pays attention, is something more honest and less defended, which is the look of a young man who has just been shown something he did not know existed and is trying to figure out what to do with the knowledge. The promoter, Gerald, is watching from the corner with the expression of a man who has just watched something happen that he will be telling people about for the rest of his professional life. The crowd begins to respond, not immediately. The silence holds for another 3 or 4 seconds before the first applause begins, tentative and then gaining, moving through the sections of the arena like weather moving through geography, and by the time it is full it has the quality of something genuine rather than something automatic, people choosing to respond rather than just responding. Sly is still standing in the ring. He has not spoken. He has not moved. He is in the specific state that follows a significant correction, the state of someone who needs a moment before the next thing. Then he picks up the microphone that the promoter has placed on the ring post. "I said some things from this ring tonight," he says, and his voice is different from how it was, stripped of the performance layer that was covering it, something more direct and less constructed underneath, about Bruce Lee, about whether what he does is real, about whether he could last 10 seconds with a real fighter. He stops for a moment. "I was wrong. The arena receives this. I was wrong about the 10 seconds, Sly says, and I was wrong about what I called real, because what just happened was real. Everything Bruce Lee does is real. I know that now from direct experience, and direct experience is the only kind that actually counts." He looks at Bruce. "I'm sorry for what I said. It was disrespectful and it came from a place of not knowing what I was talking about." Bruce looks at him. He is quiet for a moment. "You apologize well," he says. Something in Sly's expression shifts. The embarrassment doesn't go away, but something alongside it lightens. "I've had practice," he says. "I'm wrong about things more often than I'd like." Everyone is, Bruce says. The crowd responds to this exchange with the warmth that is available when a situation that could have been only humiliating has been given a different ending by the person being humiliated choosing to be honest rather than defensive. Sly has done something difficult in public, and the public is acknowledging it with the generosity that it sometimes extends to genuine honesty. Gerald, the promoter, makes his way into the ring. He has figured out his role here, which is to formalize the moment into something the evening can move on from. He says a few words about what everyone has witnessed, about the spirit of the event, about the charitable cause, standard promoter language, but it lands correctly because the context is right. After the ring has been cleared and the card has moved on to its final events, Bruce walks back to his seat in row 4. He sits down and Dan is there, and Dan says nothing because Dan has been at enough events with Bruce to know when nothing is the correct thing to say. The final event of the evening happens and the crowd is in a different place than it was at the start. Warmer and more engaged, the way crowds are after they have witnessed something they did not expect and found it to be something worth witnessing. Afterward, in the corridor beneath the stands, Sly finds Bruce. He has clearly been looking, asking people where Bruce went, following the information until it led here. He walks up with the specific walk of someone who has something to say and has been rehearsing how to say it and is not entirely happy with any of the versions they came up with. I want to ask you something, Sly says. Go ahead, Bruce says. The second exchange. When I went inside to the body shot, how did you read that was coming? Bruce looks at him for a moment, deciding how much of the real answer serves the person asking it. He decides on the full real answer, which is what he usually decides because partial answers create partial understanding, and partial understanding is worse than no understanding. Your left shoulder drops before you attack to the body, he says. Not much, maybe half an inch, but consistently. Every time you went to the body in this fight, the left shoulder dropped first. Sly absorbs this. He is moving through it physically, his left shoulder shifting as he thinks about it, testing the description against his own sense of his movement. Every time, he says, every time. Bruce confirms. So you weren't reacting to the punch, Sly says. You were reacting to the shoulder. I was reacting to the information that preceded the punch, Bruce says. The punch itself is too fast to react to. By the time it has committed to being a punch, you have very little time to respond. But before it commits, before the shoulder drops, before the weight shifts, there's a moment when the intention is forming and the body is preparing. That moment is earlier and bigger and easier to read. Sly is quiet for several seconds. He is thinking with the focused quality of someone for whom this conversation is not social, it is professional. It is about the thing he cares about most. Is that trainable? He says, reading the intention rather than the action. Yes, Bruce says. It takes time. It takes partners who will give you honest feedback rather than cooperative feedback. And it takes you being willing to be corrected a lot, because the training will show you everything you're giving away before you've learned to stop giving it away. He pauses. That part is uncomfortable. Sly looks at him. More uncomfortable than tonight? Different uncomfortable, Bruce says. Tonight was fast. Training is slow. Fast uncomfortable is easier in some ways. Sly nods. He is quiet for a moment more. Then he says something that is clearly what he came to say and has been working up to. I came to this event tonight because I heard you were going to be here. That's the honest version. I came because I wanted to be in the same room as you and I didn't have a better way of arranging it, so I signed up for the card and did what I did. He stops. That's not a flattering thing to admit. Bruce looks at him. Why did you want to be in the same room? He asks. Sly looks slightly uncomfortable with the question. Because you're doing what I want to do, he says. Action films, the physical stuff. Building something real on screen that people believe because it actually is real. That's what I want. That's what I've been trying to figure out how to build. He pauses. I thought that if I challenged you, one of two things would happen. Either I'd find out you were beatable, which would tell me something about the space I was trying to enter. Or I'd get destroyed, which would also tell me something. He stops. I got destroyed. Now you know something, Bruce says. Now I know something, Sly agrees. Several things. What's the most important one? Bruce asks. Sly thinks about this honestly, taking the question seriously rather than reaching for the obvious answer. That the gap between what I can do and what you can do is not about talent, he says slowly, or not primarily about talent. It's about what the talent was applied to and for how long and with what quality of attention. He pauses. I've been training hard. I haven't been training right. What's the difference? Bruce asks. Training hard is repeating what you already know until it's stronger, Sly says. Training right is deliberately going to the edges of what you know and working there, where it's uncomfortable, where you don't know the answer yet. He pauses. That's what you said about the shoulder drop. That training will show you everything you're giving away. You have to be willing to find out what you're giving away. Bruce looks at him with the specific quality of attention that he gives to people who have just surprised him. That's a good answer, he says. It's your answer, Sly says. I'm just repeating it back. You understood it well enough to repeat it, Bruce says. That's the first step. Dan Inosanto has appeared at the end of the corridor with the patient presence of a man who has been waiting a reasonable amount of time and is flagging that the reasonable amount of time has elapsed. Bruce sees him and gives the small acknowledgement that means he will be there shortly. He looks back at Sly. The shoulder drop, he says. Work on it. Get a training partner who will tell you every time they see it. Make them annoying about it. Make them stop every time, right in the middle of whatever you're doing, and point to it. You'll hate it. That means it's working, Sly nods. He takes this instruction with the seriousness of someone who intends to follow it, which is different from the polite nodding that people do when they are receiving advice they will forget in the parking lot. And the combination you throw to set up the body shot, Bruce says, the jab right before you go low, the pattern is too consistent. 3 times tonight you ran exactly that combination before the body shot. The first time it's information. The second time it's a pattern. The third time it's predictable. Sly ran it 3 times. Exactly 3 times, Bruce says. Sly processes this. That's something no one has ever told me, he says. Most of your sparring partners probably didn't see it, Bruce says. Or they saw it and didn't tell you because it was easier not to. Find sparring partners who tell you the hard things. That sounds lonely. Bruce looks at him for a moment. It is sometimes, he says, but it's what real training requires. People who will make you uncomfortable on purpose because the discomfort is where the growth is. Comfortable training feels good and doesn't change anything. They stand in the corridor for another moment. The 4,000 people of the evening moving past them in various directions, the charitable evening concluding around them, the venue returning to its normal purposes. I'll look for the video, Sly says, of what I threw tonight, the shoulder drop. Want to see it from the outside. Good instinct, Bruce says. You'll see it immediately. Then you'll wonder how you never noticed. Because I was inside it, Sly says. Because you were inside it, Bruce confirms. They shake hands. Sly's handshake is different from what it would have been at the start of the evening, which would have been the handshake of someone trying to establish something through the grip. This one is just a handshake, the handshake of someone who has been through an evening and come out the other side with more information than they arrived with. Bruce walks toward Dan in the exit. In the parking lot, under the forum lights, Sly sits in his car for about 15 minutes before starting it. He is replaying the 10 seconds in the ring, not with the embarrassment that will diminish over time, but with the specific analytical focus of someone who is filing it as training information. The shoulder drop, the combination pattern, the moment when the intention forms before the action commits. He starts the car and drives home. 3 weeks later, Bruce receives a letter, not handwritten, typed on a typewriter, the margins slightly uneven. It says, "Watch the tape. You were right about the shoulder." It happens before I even decide to go to the body. The decision and the shoulder drop are the same moment, which means it's not a habit I can just stop. It's something happening at the level of intention before I'm conscious of it. I don't know yet how to change something that precedes consciousness, but I'm going to find out. Thank you for telling me the truth on a night when you had no particular reason to. It is signed with a first name. Bruce reads it twice. Then he puts it in the drawer with the other letters that matter, the ones from people who heard something real and showed they heard it by doing something with it rather than just acknowledging it. He trains that evening the way he trains every evening, which is with the complete attention of a person who has been doing this since they were small enough for the doing of it to be about survival, and who has never entirely let go of the quality of attention that survival requires. The shoulder drop letter sits in the drawer. It takes Sly 3 more years to make Rocky. The people who study the fighting in Rocky have said, consistently, that there is something unusually honest about the way Stallone moves in that film. Something that is not just performance. Something that looks like someone who actually knows what they're giving away when they move, and has worked specifically on what to do about it. That may or may not have anything to do with a corridor conversation under the forum on a charity fight night in 1973, but it might.